Hi, everyone. I'm James Protin. I'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors for the podcast. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. We're back at Chico Bocello for episode 41, and our guest today is my friend Vinnie Borrelli. And Vinnie and I, Vinnie was introduced to us by John and Rachel from Yajagoff several months ago now, and because both of us in our day jobs are traveling and running around, it's the first chance we finally got to get together. Well, welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm honored.
No, it's great to have you here, and it's you get to experience the wonder of Nick, our videographer, executive producer, and you even get the presence of the assistant extraordinaire, my man Alex over there. He's just, usually he only comes out when there's somebody really important. So
thank you.
Says a lot about you. Yeah, you should be honored.
I am. Thank you, guys.
So man, welcome. It's good to see you and good to finally meet you in person.
I know it took a while, but I'm here.
Good stuff. So we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, we'll talk about your book, the Personal Prosperity Blueprint. But before we jump into that, you've got a fascinating story, and just. I keep learning more about you. Like every 5 minutes, something new pops up. So you're into a lot of stuff, my man.
I am. Keeps me young, keeps me busy. What else would I be doing?
That's very true.
And that's what I try to tell people: stay busy, stay alive. Don't
stay active.
Stay active.
Keep especially here.
That's right.
Keep the mind active, and you'll never grow old.
For sure.
So grew up in Bloomfield.
I did.
Right?
Yep.
Pittsburgh, and obviously. Borrelli, which is we always associate Bloomfield with my fellow Italians, and my mother's maiden name was Dorguzzi.
Oh, nice.
But I'm very little Italian, just that. But so tell me a little bit about what it was like in Bloomfield growing up.
Sure. So growing up in Bloomfield was, I say it was really like the best neighborhood ever to grow up in. It was just like the movies, and there's been many movies, Bronx Tale. Those movies were really a true, accurate story about how I was growing up in a little small Italian community. And I say the village of Bloomfield, which I hope to write about someday. But growing up in the village, it was like a village. Every door was open.
Right.
Crime was at a minimum. You could run into everyone's house and grab food or get scolded by anyone's mother or father.
I love that. That's the way I grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
And you played kickball, wiffle ball. A lot of listeners might not even know what that is today, right? Tag, release, hide and go seek. Those games. It was just, It was great. There was little hucksters, still little fruit stores. You could walk to the church, the corner store, the hospital, the post office. So it was just a village. It was just great. There was just positives and there was some negatives too with that.
Sure. Well, an urban environment like that, and that community now is. I mean, it's really trendy now, and it's like upscale and all those things, and it's a great part of the city. And you're a Pittsburgh guy, with the black and gold. That's who we are. I'm a little bit older than you. You're actually not much older than my kids, but so I don't know what that says about us, Nick. But my grandkids are the same age as him. So.
Wow. Well, you don't look it.
No, I appreciate that. And I'm not fishing for compliments, but it's just like, there are those days where you just feel a little older than the day before.
Right.
You seem
I know.
Move a little slow.
I hear you on that.
So, brother, you are the very definition of an entrepreneur. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on here, and I mean, the book is just, most authors that's their thing, that's the thing they did, right. But the book is just a piece of you, of the whole package of you. So what I want to dig into that childhood a little bit.
Sure.
You weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
No.
You grew up with, in basically what was then 50 years ago was still an immigrant community.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, so largely Italian, but Pittsburgh is still has very strong ethnic ties. Right. Even today in our modern society, we still go back to those ties, right?
Right. Absolutely. And growing up, my father came from Italy, so I'm somewhat first generation. Mother's 100% Italian as well. But, we kind of grew up in somewhat of a poor environment. We didn't think that until you look back in retrospect. Like, wow.
You didn't know in a moment.
Yeah. Wow. We're like, wow, we got everything we wanted, but we didn't really get what we really, really wanted, But we didn't know that growing up. And I had a sister who kind of started this whole process that when I was 13, she was 18. She was born with a heart disease. diabetes, wasn't supposed to live till 7 with one valve, lived till 7, had open heart, then wasn't supposed to live any longer than a few years, lived till 17, and right around 18 needed another heart surgery, a replacement of the valve, as you know, as the heart grew, it needed to be replaced, and she didn't make it. So lost her, my only sibling. So that kind of started the pain. At 13, I was just left with, wow, my best friend's gone.
That's tough. You know, and especially an older sibling. That's that's tough. That's a punch in the gut, man.
And she was a figure in the community because she sang at church, at weddings, communions, etc.
Okay.
Funerals, all that. You know, ironically, but that pain was really. You look back, I'm like, I don't even know how I got through it. You know, I was just kind of left with, my best friend was gone. And so I'm not looking for compliments, empathy, compassion, none of that. That's all gone.
Right.
You know, the people that didn't give me it then aren't going to give it to me today. So I'm not looking for that. What I am looking for, though, is people to realize that you can get through it. And that's how it started, because I was going in, you know, it was 2 ways to go back then, you know, the bad way and the good way. And I was way off the good way, you know, going on a bad path, being a young Catholic kid. And my father kind of got lost in everything with, you know, being an immigrant, not knowing what the heck happened.
Right.
My mother, we did everything to keep her alive. And so that made the financial stress even more. So yeah, kind of grew up somewhat poor, but again, had a great life. After I made it out of that, you know, but it was tough. It was, you know, with bullies and no one having any kind of consideration for the pain. And it took me to get to, I was about 16, got into martial arts, thought that
I was going to say, is that what made you a fighter? I mean, you're obviously a fighter. You not only, you know, you got that look about you, but you got that tenacity. I mean, it comes out of you.
Right.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah. I started in Taekwondo, which is Korean art, you know. Then I learned quickly that that's not the art to defend yourself. 80% jump kicks and 20% hands to kick samurai warriors off horses. So that doesn't work in many street altercations. But so then I studied 3 other arts and went up to Canada and trained on a karate team, all that good stuff. But that's neither here nor there. It's kind of irrelevant, but it did mold me as a person that could focus on discipline and focus on getting out of the garbage that's out there on the streets, you know? And so that's that was really the foundation of writing the book, you know, and that's what, it's a journey from pain to passion to prosperity.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great title, by the way, because I mean, I think many of us, if not most of us, have walked that same journey, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we all have our individual path. We all have our, you know, our crosses to bear, so to speak. But we're actually, I mean, having said that, we're still all in this together.
Correct.
Right. So your story, my story, I mean, you know, what you described growing up in Bloomfield, I grew up in Charleroy, PA, down on the Monongahela River in Washington County. Very similar thing.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Grew up Catholic, you know, we had multiple ethnicities, you know, and so it's that's a Western PA thing.
It is.
You know what I mean? And a lot can relate to that. But your journey, I mean, we all carry pain with us. We all do. And this morning, I wrote about this in my blog because I was heavy this morning when I woke up, and that's not me. I'm not like that. And I told Nick, I'm superstitious. I said, be careful because something bad's going to happen. I'm just like, there's just this ominousness. But you were able to turn your sister Gina, right?
Yes.
I mean, that is when you have an older sibling, especially at that age, that's akin to losing a parent.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I applaud you for that, and in taking and opening that old wound up and writing this book and creating this whole process that you've taken forward and sharing it with others so that, you know, letting them know, you know, you're not alone.
Right.
You're not alone in the world. Everybody's experienced pain. Everybody has, you know, you can let it drag you down or you can drag it forward, right?
That's right. Absolutely. And that's a key point you're making there, Jim, because a lot of people, most in fact, let it drag them down. And you know, and I don't have the explanation. That's why I became an ordained minister, to help people realize that you're not going to find the solutions, you know, whatever religion you believe in, that's irrelevant as well. But you got to figure out, if you're going to question whatever religion you believe in, why that happened to whoever that loved one was, you're never going to get the answers. And so I try to help people cope with that. And that was after the book. It really is something else, you know, we can dive into, but there is 2 ways to go. You can stay negative, just like waking up negative. You can stay negative. Things are going to happen in the world, death included. That's inevitable. And there's positive. You can stay positive. So they both take the same energy. Psychologically, it takes the same amount of energy.
Right. No, you're exactly right. So you mentioned you're an ordained minister. I'm like, there's like so many things to talk about, and I'm getting like, you know, just piling one on top of the other. So let's talk about you're a public speaker. Yes. You're a personal coach, all those different things. Right. So where did that come from? Did that all come out of the path to the book, or?
It did, but I was watching guys that, in my life, including one of my cousins, Tony Greco, up in Canada, who came from Italy at 14 years old and made himself very successful. And prosperity, by no means, I don't want to mislead anyone, does not mean financially. It means, sound personally, financially too, spiritually, everything, your family. Yeah. So, but he happened to be successful. And I was watching guys like Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, the late Jim Rohn, then a new guy, Eric Thomas, these motivational speakers. I'm like, these guys have been through hell and back, and they were able to come out of it on top. And they've been through worse stuff than maybe you and I have been through. Sure. So if they're able to do it, and then the same guy who had more to offer, more to accomplish, like a surgeon, let's say, or someone who had a PhD and whatever it was, they were more miserable. The millionaires that I talked to, more miserable than the average guy who didn't have anything. So I start diving into like the psychological part of it, not to get too deep in that part, but I start studying all this stuff on how psychology and how this psychotecture I'm studying now is really affects, it's just the way we're wired. You can rewire your brain to stay negative or stay positive. And so I'm like, why is the millionaire who I thought, if you're a millionaire, you got everything.
You got everything, right?
But you don't. You know that, right? But a lot of people don't. They think, well, if I won a Powerball, I'd be. No, you wouldn't. You would be miserable after you spent through maybe 1 million. Even if you won 10 million,
problems are still going to be there.
They're still going to be there. So, watching all these motivational speakers and stuff, I thought, wow, what makes them different than me? What makes them different than the guy I know who, growing up, who committed suicide, or who took the drug route, or who was taking the path that I was taking, some of the paths, if you will. And I just found that it was the thought process, how you think daily, what you do on a daily basis versus the regular guy wakes up and go, oh, wow, the sun's out, but it could rain. Great. I can win a Powerball, but I have to pay taxes. Like, come on. You can look at it that way.
Yeah. Sure.
Or you can look through the window and see the sunshine and not the dirty window, right? There's a couple references to that. But so that's really what it was. I was watching other people that were positive and happy with or without money. And I said, I want to be like them with or without money. Right. And obviously I want to make money.
Sure.
We all do.
We all do. We have to.
Yeah. And a lot of people, I think Steve Harvey said it, if you are broke, everyone wants to try to find out if you're going to be happy being a millionaire, right? Yeah. No one wants to know what it's not like. They want to find out on their own. So I'm on that path to figure that out on my own. But so that was it. I was just watching people, and guys like you to have the energy. It's just about just be happy. You're only here once.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's a learned behavior.
Yes, it is.
Because by default, humans are negative creatures.
Yes.
We all fall into that woe is me mentality, right? At some point or another. And you really got to put up a fight. And once you're in that dark negative space, when you're in that dark place, right? You got to put up a fight to get out of that.
Very hard. It's very difficult. It's a fight every day, waking up every day. But, some of the suggestions I do provide and do suggest are, don't watch the news. Don't wake up with the news. Don't wake up with your phone. And there's a guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, who does a psychological process of people and their routines. I always say master your morning routines, but you also have to master your nighttime routines. And one of the things he says is people wake up every day with the same thing in mind. Your phone's your alarm clock. You grab your phone, you take a picture of your breakfast or your feet or whatever. You immediately look at what the heck's going on in the world. 9 times out of 10, it's not, hey, Jim won the Mega Million or Jim's on a trip to Hawaii. It's, well, this person got shot. This person died. There's a fire in here. Oakland, there's all these stories that are all negative. Right. And none of it's positive. So to start your day like that, and that's one of the foundations in the book, one of the pillars is set the tempo of your day. Set it positively versus negatively. And you'll see that the whole day changes. Because there was a fight, and it still is a fight for me. I get up every day and go, what the heck am I going to, you got to deal with this. And you might get a flat tire, so be it. But I suggest take it or leave it. Wake up and say, I woke up. Thank you. I'm awake. I'm here to breathe and I'm here to do something.
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, I do that every day. That's the first thing that I do. And, my path to my routine was a little different because I was a disaster. I mean, I blew everything up, right? Long story, and we won't get into that because this is not about me. But I started journaling. Okay. Right? I started keeping a journal, and I'm interested to see what you think about this. I had a mentor of mine, still is, suggested that I keep a journal, and the way he explained it to me was, I said, put it on your nightstand, right? When you wake up in the morning, before you get out of bed, write down first thought that's in your head because that's coming from your heart, right? So that first thought of the day, whether it's a word, a sentence, a paragraph, a page, whatever it is, that's the purest thought you're going to have all day. That's true, right? Because that's coming from your heart. That's what you took with you. Okay, that's where you go. So I do that, right? And then I go about my routine. I meditate, do yoga, and all those different things. But I never watch the news. So I'm with you on that because once you get into that path of negativity, it's really, really difficult to come back out of that.
It is. It is. And it's actually designed just like social media. And I'm not anti-social media. You know,
sure.
We all live by it or in it somehow.
Yeah.
I just don't think that people are sucked in. It's designed to do that, right? It's designed to trigger those chemicals in your body to bring you back to it. That's why so many people are getting hit by cars walking across the street because they're so in it that they don't even know.
Just wandering. Yeah.
And it does release chemicals. We won't get into all that, but it really does. It pulls you in. It's an addictive. They say it's the same chemicals are released in drinking, smoking that are by being on social media. And so I just feel if you try it, and I'm not saying don't ever watch the news, don't ever read the paper, but don't start your day that way. You know, start it the way you want it to go. Dictate your own, write your own story. Like I always say, and other people have taught me this, other mentors, we're all actors in our own movie. But do you want to write the movie or do you want to just be a fill-in in someone else's movie? We all write our own movie. Yeah, you want to be an extra? You want to be the main character? Be the main. Write your own movie. Write your own book. Not necessarily you don't have to do that.
No,
but
absolutely.
That's not easy either.
And you know what? It's not easy, but it's something everybody should attempt to do.
Oh,
even if
for
you
sure.
never get a published book.
For
right?
sure.
You know, it's an exercise that will help you find your way into yourself, into your own heart.
Yes.
Right? Because most of us don't know our own heart. We don't know our true heart.
No. And the thing is, people don't take the time. You know, I like that people that a lot of my friends say, well, I'll have to make time. Well, that's just insanity. You're not going to make time. What you have to do is find time. And what I tell people is, well, you think we all have 24 hours in a day. And I think it was Oprah Winfrey or even 50 Cent. He said, sleep is for people who are broke. Okay. I love that quote because I think it's hilarious, but coming from a guy who made it, again, from nothing. But someone like Oprah Winfrey said, we all have 24 hours in a day. Right. How do you use yours? So when buddies say to me, they don't have the time, I said, well, you're not going to make it. You have to find it. So maybe you have to give up. And this is part of the thing I've been talking about on 92.9, if that's okay to mention.
Absolutely.
That on Q92.9 with Jag with John and Rachel, that you really can make you make your schedule. You make your own schedule, but you can't make more time. You just got to find it in those 24 hours. So if you look at, are you a golfer? You might have to make that sacrifice, but it's not a bad sacrifice if you're doing something positive.
Because the time's there.
The time's there. Like I want to go to happy hour for 3 hours on a Friday with my buddies, but I just don't have that 3 hours, maybe an hour. So it's a sacrifice, yes, but it's a positive sacrifice. I've been now using that positive sacrifice to give up something for something better. So if you're giving up something for something bad, well, then that is truly a sacrifice. Like, I hate this. I can't go golfing. Well, then you can't have the car you want or the house you want. You got to take from somewhere and put it somewhere else. So just redirect your energy. So that's just another, I guess, tidbit of information that I live by, and it works, And you don't have nothing to lose, everyone listening, to try it,
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you try it. And that's the thing. You try what worked for you, what worked for me, and take it, it's not, one size doesn't fit all.
Right. It's tailor-made. This is all tailor-made.
You've got the blueprint.
Yep.
So you take it, you try it, and then you make it fit you. You tweak it so that it fits you and your lifestyle and what you want, your beliefs, your wants, your hopes, your goals, whatever the case may be.
Right. Absolutely. And if you don't, then you're kind of wasting time. I always say, just don't be complacent. If you want to be something that you think you're called to be, and don't say you can't do, you have to try. And because I'm just anti-failure. If you don't believe in failure, then you're not going to try anything extravagant or be extraordinary.
That's exactly right.
And I feel it's so many things. Oh God, I've lost everything. I've lost every car I owned. I lost my house. I lost, you name it, friends along the way.
I'm with you, man.
And that's another
family,
part.
All of it.
Family,
It's
because they're the worst.
Absolutely.
Friends and family are the worst anti-success, anti-progress,
Well, and a lot of it, I used to think it was again a Western PA thing, but it's not, because, that's why I like to keep my circle small these days, because, everybody loves you when you're on the way up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But once you're up there, all they're doing is trying to pull you back and drag you back down.
And why did Jim do that? How did you get there? What did he do? And, but the funny part is when you're doing, I do recall when things were gloomy and I was on that bad path, people talked, I knew he would go down that road. I knew this would happen.
Yeah.
And then when you're successful, I knew he was going to be something. So if people are going to talk anyway, that's inevitable. Give them something good to talk about.
Give them something good to talk about.
Enlightening,
because you're right, they are going to talk.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Pittsburgh.
It's Pennsylvania.
It's what they do. They gossip. Gossip is king.
Yes.
And when enough people say it, it becomes true, regardless if it is or not.
That's right. And people love gossip. I mean, that's
my goodness, yes.
Small minds like to gossip about, little things, and great minds like to talk about good stuff, ideas.
Right, right.
So.
And I love collaborating and sharing ideas. And when I looked in, when doing some research that, for this conversation today, you and I are really a lot on the same page in a lot of things. And you had mentioned the 4 pillars, and I want to get into that because we based the blog and the podcast and all of this on 5 pillars that my dad taught me when I was a kid, right?
Right.
Live, love, learn, pray, inspire. And he
Love
always
it.
used to say to me, you do those 5 things every day, okay? Live every moment till its fullest.
Yes.
Love everybody unconditionally. Learn everything you can learn. Pray every day, and inspire one person every day. And he said, you know what? You're going to have a damn good day.
Absolutely. You
Right?
can't, it's almost it's foolproof. You can't fail.
absolutely.
If you follow them.
So let's get into, walk me through the 4 pillars that you have in this great. I love this, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Motivate
sure.
me. This is good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
so it came up. That's my logo, VB
Yeah,
Motivate
cool.
Me. But it's the 4 pillars. Really, the first one is detachment of negative people and toxic people in your life. And some of my friends took this to heart because I alluded to the fact that it was them in particular. So, but it really wasn't. You take the character of your childhood friends and some of the other friends you get along the way, but you have to detach yourself from. And not just eliminate your friendship, but detach from the consistent negative talk, the consistent, just that energy that they bring. Because if you ever notice you meet someone who's always going to be negative, it's like, hey, how you doing today? Oh, well, like it starts off just like that. Well, wait a second, you're here. And I'm not Mr. Positive, because believe me, there's times where I'm down and out too. But
absolutely.
you have to
Human nature.
psychologically think about intentionally. I always say deliberately.
Right.
Think about the good though. So so those particular people, I just stopped calling because every time I'd call her, if I'd see their name on my phone, I'd answer and go, hey, how you doing? Oh, well, it was never just, hey, Jim, how you doing today, man? Haven't seen you in a while. Let's grab a beer. Let's grab a coffee.
Yeah.
What's going on? So that was the first one. The second one is set the tempo of your day.
Yeah.
Again, goes hand in hand with seamlessly transitions into starting your day on a positive note. And as a martial artist, as a fighter, whatever ring I was in or situation, you dictate your competition. You dictate, you're in the ring, or you're going to go to this conference. That I have to go on stage and speak. I could set up myself to say, well, that guy might beat me. Yeah, he might. But if I did that, then I wouldn't. Why am I in the ring? Or if you're a tennis player, it doesn't matter what sport you're in, but if you dictate that, like athletes do the visualization,
Sure.
Visualize you winning. A lot of Olympians do this.
Yes.
And I trained with the national karate team in Canada. Those guys knew exactly what they were going to do and tactfully execute on that plan. So, and then, it was the relationship with you. And you have to love yourself and know what you want to do.
That's where it starts.
Yes.
That's where it starts. If you can't love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
Right. And who you are, what you want to be, and just how you're going to be. And I think one of the actors, a Hollywood actor, said that. Find out who you are, what you want to do, and how you're going to get there. Like who you want to be. Just figure out how to do that. And if you look, like those things are just, there's other pointers in here.
Right.
But in the fourth one is a process of preparation and discipline. And discipline I put in there, say, well, that's because of martial arts. No, it is not. Anyone who's successful in anything like yourself, you got to be disciplined.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to prepare. And people are like, oh, the process of preparation. Yes, everything you do good needs to be prepared. Like I've done presentations that were mediocre because I didn't prepare.
We all have. Yeah.
Right. But the ones that were phenomenal and just extravagant, and they're just, people are like, wow, that was great. I prepared, and it took discipline. So those are the 4 pillars that I found everyone should have in their life in some context to have a solid foundation.
Yeah, I love it. And I love these questions because, in looking at these, I joked with Nick, but these are really great questions if you want to find your way to yourself, right?
Right.
What are you grateful for today?
Right.
Like you said, start every day with a gratitude moment, right? Just wake up and just thank God, whatever higher power you believe in, because there has to be one, right? None of this is possible without it, but just thank God for another day.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
I have a buddy who's a funeral director, and his famous, I say, hey, how's it going today? And he say, every day above ground's a good day.
That's right.
Right. But you woke up,
Yep.
Every day, thousands and thousands of people they're not so blessed. They're not that lucky.
It's not a dress rehearsal.
So you've got something to be grateful for just when you open your eyes in the morning.
Yes.
Right.
And one of the things I say, not to get too negative on things, but I worked in the Children's Hospital here in Pittsburgh and other cities. And if you want to be negative and beat yourself up, go there and see the children taking their last breath.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're fighting on a life support machine or the heart and lung machine, whatever it is. So that should make you more appreciative of it. It's not a dress rehearsal. You're not promised tomorrow, so make it happen.
And there are moments, and I'm a college football fan, right? I'm not a big NFL guy. Believe it or not, I'm not a big Steeler fan, which I know I shouldn't say that out loud. But there's a tradition at Iowa. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Children's Hospital is right directly next to the stadium, Kinnick Stadium.
Right.
Okay. And every home game, right after they do the national anthem, before they kick off, everybody in the stadium turns to this Children's Hospital and waves to the kids, because the kids are up and there's this room and it's up and they can see, and everybody waves to them.
I did see
that. And they wave back, and that gets you right there. That is the coolest thing. And those types of things, that's what gratitude leaves you to.
Right.
Now, those people at that stadium bought a ticket to be entertained by a football game. Right. But you know what? That is a bonus.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? So everybody leaves that stadium, whether Iowa wins or loses that game. You leave that stadium feeling better about yourself.
Absolutely. That's fulfillment right there. Yeah, for sure.
So what's your pain? Again, pain to passion to prosperity, right? So, if you don't identify your pain, right? If you don't feel it, if you don't let yourself feel it, if you hide from it.
And a lot of people are afraid to talk about pain with me. I got friends that went through divorce. I got friends that have lost a sibling. I got friends that lost a friend or a brother or sister to maybe some substance, or just depression led them to suicide. But they won't talk about it. And if you don't talk about it, and that's what I'm here for, and try to help people that do need it,
right?
Reach out to me, and I'm not going to solve the problems. I'm not going to make it all go away. But I know one thing: if you walk away from me, you're going to get that infectious energy that I give. And I swear on every person I meet to do that. And it's been, some of the people that listen that knew me when I was younger, they're going to go, is that the same Vinnie Borrelli? No, it's not. It really isn't. It's the same guy. Yeah. But no, it's not. Because if I was that same person, I'd still be on those same paths and the same negativity and those roads that were going nowhere. And so
absolutely,
I can help you get through it. I can help at least alleviate. If I can alleviate just a little bit of pain, that's all I can do. I can't solve the problems, but you have to want to talk about it. You have to open up.
You have to open up, and you have to embrace change. I mean, there's a quote, and I'm not sure. I might have been Muhammad Ali said it. Somebody said it, that a man who sees life at 50 the same as he did at 30 has wasted 20 years.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you and I are living proof of that.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, for sure. And, you clean up the mistakes you made in your 20s and in your teens. I clean up my mistakes that I made now in my 40s that I did in my 30s. Right. And if I could help those people also not make the same mistakes, or at least maybe if I had someone to help me cut mine in half, geez, I'd be so much further ahead, And I'm happy where I'm at today. But if I can help you not do, we all make those mistakes. But if I had someone to coach me truly and say, don't do this, do that. Don't go there, go here. You don't have that. And even our guidance counseling in high schools, you get a good grade in one class, they think that's what you should be. I was good in accounting. You should be an accountant. I'm the furthest thing on a personality test. I'm the furthest thing from sitting there crunching numbers. No way. And I tried it. I tried to be a financial planner. I lost my mind, But anyway. So
and then here's my favorite one. And these two go together, right? And you've got them separate, but I look at them together. Passion and desire. What is your passion? Okay, but desire is what you become passionate about. And if you can channel that passion, right, then you're going to achieve everything. You're going to achieve your dreams, your goals, your hopes, all those things, right?
Yes, and that's a big differentiator right there. You have to compartmentalize those things.
Yeah.
So passion, yes. Desire, yes. But also motivation goes in between. There's that bridge. And again, psychologically, people, when I talk to them, like, oh yeah, Vinnie, I'm going to go for it. Just like every other motivational speaker out there that are, the Tony Robbins of the world. Everyone knows who that is. I don't use that because everybody knows. And they listen to it and then they walk away and don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So you loved it. You love what you heard. You want to be pumped because, we just talked. I'm going to leave it pumped because I talked to Jim.
Right.
But then I go out there and I'm like, oh, geez, I got to drive home. I might hit traffic. Oh, man, come on. Come on, man. Watch this. So if you try to flip that switch and go, yeah, I am going to actually take and apply one thing Jim told me there, one thing Vinnie said to me, just try it.
Absolutely.
And then, apply it, right?
Yeah, and execute. Nobody's telling you what to do.
Right.
When I sit down with you and as a coaching client, right, and you say, you do try this, or do this. You're not telling me you go do this or you're going to fail. You're saying try it, right? Try this. You went down this path. You tried this. It didn't quite work out. Try this. And I think everybody needs that.
Correct.
Everybody needs that, and whether you get that from a spouse, from a parent, from a coworker, whatever the case may be, I think everybody needs that kind of, because you get lost in the moment, right?
Do.
Because everything is about me, right? And come on, you don't see those other opportunities.
Right. And that's another thing that you said, everything being about me. That's something that everyone else should try. Actually listening. You ever notice a conversation you have like, hey, Jim, how you doing? And you say, oh, well, my dog got shot. I'm like, yeah, great. So I just got this new, like, wait a second, did you not hear what I said? Actually try to listen and be present.
Right.
Like my wife can attest to this because when we first met, I thought she wasn't present. I'm like, do you really want to be here?
Yeah.
You're not interested because you're not showing interest at first. And so but people don't realize that they're not being present. Like, everything else is going to go around in the background. The background noise, the pollution, I always say, the purifiers and the polluters, but there's all this background noise.
Oh,
eliminate that and just be present with the person you're talking to.
Absolutely.
And that was the hardest thing for me to get through because, ADD, OCD, you name it, I got it. I got it all. And my wife should know, she'll tell you, she's a special needs teacher. So I got every one of them, every letter I got. But in any event, it took me a lot and it was very tough. And now I think I'm strong in it to be able to be present and listen, not pay attention to everything else going on in the background. And that's a big part of being a life coach and being motivational every day and inspirational.
Sure, absolutely. So in your day job, medical sales doesn't jive with life coaching.
No.
Right?
Not
so
really.
I mean, let's be honest. That's two different things.
Yes, it is. But I do apply that in my everyday job. It doesn't conflict because I do evenings, but it does apply in no matter who I talk to, whether it's a pharmacist, a surgeon, a CEO, CFO, even colleagues of mine. And a lot of them complain. I'm like, well, if you're complaining, then leave. I tell people, if you're in medical school and you hate it, go be a barista.
Go do something else.
Go work at Starbucks if that makes you happy. But if that's not what you really, because I know people that work there are happier than the guys that went to school for 15 years,
right?
And are doing what they claim that they love, and they're really not happy. They're not fulfilled. They're not living a life of prosperity,
right?
And so, you have to really just, I don't know, figure out what you want to do that makes you happy.
Well, and you're in a very similar situation to me. You're working with the best and the brightest, right? You're working with surgeons and these really super intelligent, motivated, and complex human beings, right? And I'm working with engineers and scientists and PhDs and this, that, and the other.
Right.
And I never, ever walk in the room and I'm the smartest guy in the room. Yeah. And I'm blessed by that, right? Because all those people that are better than me have made me better.
That's right. And that's, they say surround yourself with people that are doing better. In fact, I just watched I forget his name, a new motivational guy that said the 5 people around you will dictate who you're going to be.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you're not around those people, then you're not going to be, where you want to be eventually. And they always say 5 years. I think that's too long. Mm-hmm. I disagree with that. But the people you surround yourself with, you still can have your friends and your buddies and your regular people and your friends and family. Because like we said about before, not to go back, but friends and family will not, they're the ones that say, Jim, why are you doing that? Mm-hmm. I heard, Vinnie, what are you doing now? Why? So many times. And my thing is, and it's in the book, why not?
Why not?
Because I can. But you failed at this, failed at that. Yeah, but I wouldn't have known. I couldn't have been a restaurateur that I was and a bar owner. That wasn't my calling. I did it for a while, made some money, but it wasn't me. But I wouldn't have known that unless I tried.
Had you not tried it.
You, on the other hand, the people I talk to that ask me that question won't ever know if that's what you should have been because you'll never know if you could have succeeded or failed, right?
Right.
So anyway, that's kind of, I don't want to beat a dead horse on that, but you got to go for it.
You're absolutely right. And my wife, God bless her, she's an amazing human being. So when I told her that I was going to write a blog, why? Why not? Right? So we're going to do a podcast. Why?
Right.
So I asked her one day, I said, because this is the episode 41, right?
That's amazing. Yeah, I applaud you. That's great.
She has never, ever watched one. Wow. So I asked her one day, I said, and my stepdaughter, her daughter, has been a guest on the show because she's got a very compelling story and very popular episode. Didn't you watch that one?
Oh,
so I said, well, why don't, or have you ever watched an episode of the podcast? No.
She's got to watch this one.
Yeah. And I said, well, why? And she said, I live with you. Why would I?
All right.
Okay, good perspective. I get it.
Sure,
I get it.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, she's always asking me, well, why did you do that? And like, why not? So that's what I think to her, why not watch it? You might see me in a different light.
That's true.
Right? Because I don't do this at home. I mean, it's just like, I don't sit and interview people at home. I'm not a professional interviewer.
Different character. Yeah. Different character.
It's a totally different thing because I go home, I'm grandpa, I'm this and that and the other. So, what do you think about, there's a lot of people a lot of people, and I was one of them, who put that public persona out there, which is basically kind of a mask, right?
Right.
And whether that's masking insecurity, whatever the case may be.
Right.
How do you talk to somebody like that is putting that out there, but they're not just like really not being true to themselves?
I try to not beat people up on it, but really I harp on that like to no end, because it's an insecurity, right? It's a deficiency in your own relationship with your whoever you're with, significant other, spouse or not, that you need to, you need to, for one, post your life. People think that they post a trip to Hawaii and they made it, they're happy, they're successful, but then they come back home to their miserable life and they're broke. So by posting, they need fulfillment. And the reason why I harp on it is because, the substance rate has gone up, suicide rate has gone up. These kids today don't know. They think not only this sense of entitlement, but they're seeing the lives of others through the social media platform, right? Through that lens. It's not the real clear
It's
lens.
a highlight reel.
It is.
It's not real life.
It is. So to boast about everything, like I got friends that they can't go out, like, don't touch your beer yet. Don't touch your eggs yet. We have to take a picture of it.
You got to get a picture.
Come on, man. Just eat the eggs. Just eat the eggs, right?
Eat your eggs.
So, excuse me. So it really is. I just tell people.
Drink your espresso, man.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone. Oh, I'll have to get you.
I'm good. But I just think that you really should take it for what it's worth. There's little girls that see other girls that maybe they're heavier, maybe they're skinnier, and they see it on there. And if they don't get a like, it's an inferiority complex is really what it is. So it's a deficiency. But if you take that, because being depressed, I'm like anti-bully, anti-depression now.
Absolutely.
But all that stuff is really, it fuels it. It really does. It fuels the fire to the depression rate, to the drug rate. And so you got to take a step back. The only advice I could give is take a step back and realize what that post is. And if you're not posting everything you're doing, then maybe you're better off and happier,
No, very true.
That's the best advice I could give on that,
Well, and somebody said it, and again, I don't know who, but I read this, that, don't compare your real life to somebody else's highlight reel.
Right.
And that's what you're doing if you get into that comparison game on social media, especially Facebook.
Yes.
Right? Because nobody's going to go out there and write, listen, I lost a major project today.
Right.
No, they're only going to post when they win that project.
That's right. There you go. Perfect.
So they're not going to do that. So you go out and then you lose the project and say, oh man, Vinnie won. I know people that count likes, right? When you look at, Nick and I don't really get into that with the podcast, right? Somebody will say, how many viewers you have? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. That's not why we're doing it.
Good.
We're doing it because of this,
yes.
right? Because I wanted you to come on the show because I know from everything I know about you, and I know more now, you have a message that people need to hear. Right. So I want to provide you that platform to share that message because this book's important. This is important.
And I'm the same way, Jim. I don't do the like thing. My wife, she follows it for me. In fact, she runs the whole show for me because I don't mean this in a negative way. I really don't care about how many likes I get. I care about the views because I want people to see them. Look, a lot of people might not want to like it because of that reason.
Sure.
Like, I'm not going to give Vinnie the time of day. I've known him from when he was a mean person or a jerk. He wasn't nice to me. I don't know. Whatever I was, I apologize. But
sorry. Everybody that I've ever known, I'm sorry for anything I ever did.
Yeah, God. I mean, we all made mistakes, but it's who you become out of that. If you stay that person. So I don't follow the likes. I really don't care. I just care that I impact and am inspirational to somebody out there who I was able to shed some light on some pain or garbage that's going on in their life.
That's exactly right.
So if you follow that, the people that are listening that do follow, like you said, if you follow the likes, my God, if I did that, I'd be one. Sometimes I got a couple likes. My wife goes, wow, this time you had a bunch. Sometimes I had two. Oh God, what am I going to, better grab the bottle.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Grab me that Crown Royal. I'm going to drink it. I don't have two likes. You can't live like that.
No, you can't. Right. And you just don't know what's going to resonate with people. But that should not change the message.
Correct.
Right? You've got to stay true to your message, which is what we try to do. So, you'll see, if you dig into that, and we did it once just to see, but there will be people who will watch your video, okay, but won't comment or hit a like or anything like that, right? So, you don't know in the moment if somebody's paying attention or watching. And really, I will go out on a limb and say that you're like I am, and you do it for one person. You don't do it for a million.
Right.
You do it for that one person out there that needs it, that needs to hear it.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope to inspire more, but if there's only that one, absolutely. Same thing as you, Jim. Correct. 100%.
And think about, Brother, listen, when you look at the impact that we can have on social media, and we talked about how social media is negative, but the positive side of social media, right?
Right.
So you have 5,000 followers. I have 5,000 followers. And I just throwing ridiculous numbers out there for
Is
sake
that
of
an accurate number? I do have 5,000.
I don't know. I don't even know.
I don't even know.
So, but just say for the sake of argument, we do. So every one of those people, every one of those 10,000 people, I went to a seminar once and given by a very intelligent man, and he said that every human being, no matter where they're at in life, who they are, knows 100 people.
Right.
So take that. Let's just use that as the raw number.
Okay.
So you and I, between us, we have 10,000 contacts.
Sure.
Every one of those 10,000 contacts has a minimum of 100. How many people are we impacting every time we go on social media?
That's a lot of people.
Right?
That's a lot of people.
And then take that out again. Then they have 100 more. So when you think about the ripple effect, the positive ripple effect of social media, it's mind-boggling.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree. If you use it the right way.
Exactly.
More people need to use it the right way. You know.
That's where we have that negative piece.
Right.
So you mentioned being an ordained minister. Where'd that come from?
It came from, so I started this funeral service that
which I love.
It's called Your Final Ride. Yeah.
Wait, I want to show this to you, Nick, because this is who thinks of this?
Well, I saw a lot of people go through. I had a couple friends.
You ride.
Pass. I ride. Yeah, I've been on a Harley since I was 16 years old, and been in some near-death accidents. I should be dead, quite frank. I was in about 3 different accidents, but I've seen some close friends that actually did pass away, and maybe not wearing helmets somewhere, hit a deer, just freak accidents. Not intentional, with the exception of 1 or 2. And when I seen them pass, there was really no one there to. One, help them through the process, because the mindset of a true biker is different than the average person.
Oh, absolutely. It's a brotherhood.
It's a brotherhood.
There's no doubt about it. Whether you ride a Harley or a Kawasaki, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's a brotherhood.
And so their mindset is they want to ride I got friends that would ride all year round, even in the snow. Some do, in fact. Like, what are you, nuts? And they're gloved up and they got heated seats and all that. I get all that. But they would like to leave the way they ride. And that's the message, leave the way you live.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to touch people. But during that, I thought, wait a second, if I'm going to be in front of those people that have lost their loved one, and it's all on a bike, it's not a plan, right? It's normally not a disease that well, it's inevitable that this person may pass. It's that it's a freak accident on a motorcycle.
Right.
So I wanted to be there and be available and accessible to people that wouldn't need to talk, because I lived that life and I wrecked and still jumped back on. It took me years, but not driving foolishly. It's just a freak accident that I should
happens.
Head first. Yeah, I should be dead. And then a couple others. And do I ride as frequently now? Like hardly at all, because I have a 3-year-old and my wife.
Well, sure.
But I just wanted to be there and become, the only way I could touch them and be legitimately authorized to help people is to become an ordained minister. And so if they ask, are you ordained minister? I say, yeah, and I can help you through that for sure. I don't wear the cross and all that and stuff. I'm not a deacon or pastor or anything, but I just want to help people. And
I love it. And it's a very unique idea. It's a difficult subject. Nobody wants to talk about end of life stuff, but we're all going to go there. That's the way this journey ends for all of us, right? Hopefully it's a long time out, but there's no way you get out of this life alive.
No. Yeah, we all got a number. We all have and I think my mother-in-law put it to me this way, which I'll give her props on that. We all have an expiration date, just like success has an expiration date. You can't wait and wait. That's why I'm totally anti-procrastination, because procrastination, and I always use this. If I told you, Jim, tomorrow morning I'm going to give you $1 million, meet me at 3 a.m., man, you would be there 2:45. When you wait,
there's no doubt. Everybody
so look here.
would,
If I said, Jim, meet me at 3 o'clock.
Vinnie, you're late. What are you where
You're not getting it. Yeah.
Where you been?
But so look here. If I said meet me at 3 and we're going to go work, you might be like, oh man. Yeah. So it's what's important. Procrastination truly isn't a thing. It's just what is important.
It's priorities. How do you prioritize your life? I mean,
that's period, end of it. Right.
I had a conversation. Nick and I did with a friend, and just Friday, and she said something that stuck with me all weekend. It rattled around in my head, and she was talking about somebody, just a conversation she had with another friend, and a guy said that his wife wasn't his number one priority. Okay,
wow.
His number one priority was, his priorities weren't in order. Okay, his health and wellness, his faith, and his purpose. Because if he can't do those 3 things, if those 3 things aren't in line,
I've heard that before. Yeah.
He can't give her his best.
He can't be the good husband, right?
Right. And I thought about that, and I'm thinking, if you said to any wife, any guy goes home right now, and I don't recommend it, and says, "You're not my number one priority." Okay,
You're off the Christmas list.
Let's talk to us first about how to present that.
Right.
But that rattled around in my head, all weekend, and I'm like, am I doing that? Right.
I agree with that. Yeah.
That's interesting. It was an interesting.
I don't know about putting it that way. Yeah, you might get a slap.
Careful how you present it. Right?
You might get a crack in the side of the head first, but positioned the right way, he's 100% accurate. Because if you're not, and that's again that relationship with yourself.
It goes back to what you said.
Yeah, right. If you're not Jim solid, how are you going to be solid to your wife?
Right.
How can you be a fulfilling husband? How can you be sound where you are if you're not happy? Right. You could be a part-time dad, part-time grandfather, part-time husband, but then it's not going to last. That goes away.
Right. And we talk about showing up, right? Talk about showing up authentically and yourself. If you don't have those three things in order, okay, it's not possible.
That's right.
It's not possible.
I agree. 100%. You got to show up and be present. Everybody should be present.
Let's dig into this book a little bit.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I love the book, man. I really do. And,
Thank you.
And it's the 4 pillars and of the blueprint. So how long did it take you? By the way, first of all, I forgot one thing. I just saw something. Talk to me about the Boom Boom Room. What is that?
Sure. So that was supposed to be. We haven't really launched much of it, and hopefully with your help we can. Just a podcast room. We're a chat room, if you will. If people still call it that. I'm dating myself here. The chat room. So it's just to really talk and open up. I want to have a platform where people could come in, and even if you had a fake name, you could call in or type in, and we'll get to that. But that's really just where people can throw whatever they have in their personal life going on that maybe they don't want to meet with me one-on-one.
Sure.
And I'll be the life coach for Nick or Al.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So they can just throw it out there and I can give advice. But, we'll get there.
I love
It's
that.
still a work in process. But it's kind of a new thing. The logo is, in there, the Boom Boom Room, because my name when I used to fight, they call me Vinnie Boom Boom. So that's where it came from.
Yeah, there you go. No, I love that. And I think, that's something, I would love to help you with that. That's something that I think is tremendous, and not a lot of guys out there in the space you're in are offering something like that.
And I mean, there's a Joe Rogan's out there. A lot of these guys have those rooms, those chat rooms. And, even if you and I did it once a week and we kind of co-speak or whatever you call that.
I think that's a great idea. You're onto something there. I really do.
So that's what that is. Yeah.
No, that's very cool. And I love calling it that because, that's impactful. Right. And that's what you want people to see. You want them to come in there because, if they're carrying something heavy, if they have something that's on, they got to get off their chest.
Right.
They want something impactful back.
Yes.
Right. So that's what they're going to get. They know they're going to go into that room. They're going to get that.
Right.
That's very cool, dude.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thanks.
I like it. So how long did it take you to write this book?
Oh, boy. So I started writing notes back when I was a teenager, probably 16, 17. It was in this old notebook, like the old.
So you basically kept that journal.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
And that's huge.
And I presented to Linda, Joe, and Brian. Corey Walmsley was who helped me edit it.
Corey is doing my book right now.
Oh, great!
As we speak,
yeah, she's great.
She's
because I had to make Pittsburghese into a legible. Grammatically, it was probably you couldn't read.
I gave her a brain dump, dude. I told her, I said, if you can pull a book out of this mess, I'm not paying you enough money.
There you go. There you go.
That for
and she did it I had to get to 30,000 words. I had like 1,000 words. I'm like, it's impossible. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. If I didn't get stretched, she helped stretch me. Anything you're doing, anyone, whatever you're doing, if you're not stretched, then you're not challenged. If you're not challenged, then what the heck are you doing?
To what we've been talking about this whole show, right? And she challenged you, and she's been doing that to me.
And she made it happen. Yep.
She sent me something. She said, "Here, I've got these 5 chapters, the 5 pillars." She did those first that I talked about.
That's great.
She said, "You need to add something here, 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 and here." And she highlighted, and I'm like, "Wow,
I love
it." That's
how many words are you trying to get to?
That's on her.
Okay.
I gave her a file with like well over 100,000 words because it was just like a brain dump, right?
Good.
I'm just like, because I never wrote anything other than a proposal, professional proposal for a project until 10 years ago.
Wow.
And when that mentor of mine that I mentioned suggested writing the journal, I started and I haven't stopped.
That's a great idea.
I mean, it just,
I love that.
it just, everything just comes out now.
Yeah.
I
love it. But in full circle, it took During COVID, I wrote it. I finished it.
Is that right?
Yep. When everyone was complaining, I can't go golfing. We can't go here. Can't go there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something.
Right.
I'm not going to sit home and complain. Like, yes, I felt it too. We all did. It was terrible, right? We didn't know what to. I thought everything was, it felt like the whole world was. And in fact, it somewhat did, right, for a period of time. But yeah, during that period, I was like, I'm going to do something productive, and I did it. That's when I even took the pictures during COVID. Photographer and all that stuff.
Yeah, I like the pictures too.
And that's the hood is from the pain and looking towards the future and then becoming who I am today.
Good stuff, dude. I love it, man. And it's it is, again, a blueprint is not chiseled on stone tablets.
Right.
So you're not preaching. Anybody that gets this book that wants to try to make themselves better, try to become, because we're always becoming something.
Right.
We're becoming better.
Yep.
Right. I'm not the guy I was at 50. I'm not the guy I was at 40. In a couple of years, I hope I'm not the guy I was 2 years ago at 60 or 3 years. I'm 63. So in that respect, I want to be a lifelong learner. I want to keep getting better. I want to learn something new before I take the last breath. On that day, I want to learn something new.
Yeah. And that's and you feel so much better. People are like, that's all you do. Like, I get up at 5 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
And I read from 5 to 6, 7, unless I have to leave early.
Sure.
Which a lot of times I do. But that's just a routine. But if I miss even a half hour reading in the morning or my little bit of meditation and prayer, I feel like, man, my day's like going to spiral out of control. It doesn't.
Sure.
But if you're not personally developing or professionally developing,
you get that feeling.
Yeah, you just get that feeling of wholeness, like, wow, I got something done. And the first thing is waking up and saying thanks. That is the first goal. I always say write 10 goals and hit 3. Write 10. Some of them, maybe 9 and 10 are not even possible. Put them down. Write them down every day.
Brother, 3 out of 10 gets you in the Hall of Fame.
Oh,
right?
God, that's right. There you go.
3 out of 10 gets you in the Hall of Fame,
You're
man.
right.
And it's like,
you hit it.
you don't got to win every single time out.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you don't win, you've got to take something from that.
Right. And if you know that the 3 are the only 3 you have to hit and you hit them, then, man, you got a great day. But you have to but people are like, well, I even ask. A lot of people I talk to, I say, well, what are your goals for today? Like, well, I didn't write any. Well, okay, do you know where you're going? Like, people, in Rachel on Yajayo said VBS, the Vinnie Borrelli system, because I always say GPS system of your life, right?
Yeah.
We trusted, back in the day, there was that triptych, right? People, it's not an app, it's the triptych from AAA, right?
You are getting old, dude.
I know. Thank you. I turned 50 in March. Thanks.
Listen, when we're talking
I'm
about
going to take the bridge after this.
There's nobody. I don't think there might be 3 or 4 people watching this that know what a triptych was.
Well, I said on 92.9, I'm saying it here. It was a map that was highlighted from where you are today to or where you were going, where you started your home, to Cleveland, Ohio. You had to flip to get to. There was no GPS. So now we trust that we type in the destination in GPS and we're going to get there. And it takes into consideration traffic, speed traps, whatever, weather. I don't know what. It takes everything into consideration anymore. But do we do that in our own life? Do we put in where we are right now and where we want to be and how to get there? Yeah, we're going to have some merges. We're going to have some ramps. But if you stay on the path, you have to make your own GPS, she put it eloquently, I always say, VBS system of, put where you want to go and how you're going to get there. You're going to hit pitfalls, peaks and valleys.
That's what this is.
Read the book. Yeah.
That's what this is. Read the book. Dude, you killed it here.
Thank you.
You really did. And it takes some courage to share that story. Right? To even just sit there and say, listen, I wasn't always a good guy. Right? None of us were. We've all had those little detours on our journey where we really weren't all that proud of who we were at that point, right? But what you've become coming out of that, coming from that pain to prosperity. And again, you're not talking about financial prosperity here.
No, not at all. That's the last thing on there.
Right, because if you're motivated, and listen, if somebody's motivated for money, if that makes them to go out and try to be a better person, that's great.
So be it. Right.
But more often than not, if your focus is getting rich rather than becoming a better person, right? You become rich when you become a better person, right? You don't become a better person when you become rich.
Correct.
There's a lot of millionaires out there that are pretty much,
they hate it.
They're not great people.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you put that. Yeah, there's a financial component to prosperity.
Sure.
But you don't lead with that, and that's not the focus.
It'll come. It'll come. If you're doing what you love, it'll come. And if you want to make more, then do more. There's this saying I saw that I think I'm going to make a shirt of it. You want more, do more, or work more. You want more, work more. If that's your goal, then
put in the work.
Work 3 jobs. God, I used to stock produce at grocery stores through college, after college. If I was in between jobs, I worked at Kroger's in Detroit. I stocked dairy. Like, just do it. Put your pride. Everyone got to put their pride away.
You're exactly
and a lot
right.
of people can't do that. They're worried about what someone else is going to say. Well, most of the people worry about what they're going to say. You don't really care about anyway. Right? So just do what makes you happy.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that. I mean, I can't agree more. When I met my wife when we first got together, this is second marriage for both of us. And I have 3 kids, she had 2 kids, but when I met her, she was coming out of a divorce, her kids were younger. She was working 2 jobs because she was determined that she was going to make it. Everybody said, well, you'll never do it. What are you doing? She was determined. And she worked 2 jobs for way too long, but I'll never forget that determination and the pride that she had in what she accomplished. She not only came out of that, she bought a house, did all of these things, and I'm proud for her. That's right. I mean, that's an amazing thing. And even, everybody overcomes something.
Yeah.
Right.
It says a lot about her character, though.
Absolutely. And I love that. Good. So what do you want to kind of closing thoughts? So let's go, 10, 15 minutes and just what haven't we touched on that you want to get out there?
I think we touched on everything, Jim. Again, I'm just honored to be here, and I want people to really reach out to me and not put your pride aside. Text me. It's my personal cell phone. It's not like I have a secretary. I didn't make it that big yet. I hope to have. Well, my wife is my secretary. And again, you said about character. My wife was the same. She has all these degrees and was teaching special needs. She's my secretary or assistant. She'll kill me. Executive assistant.
Executive assistant. That's even better. Yeah.
So in closing, I want to help more people. I want to speak at more schools, wherever I need to be to help people. I don't need the notoriety of being put. I don't need the exposure to be noticed. I need the exposure to be present and be impactful and inspirational in people's lives.
To share the message.
Yeah. So I want to help people. Reach out to me.
Do you take that? Okay, I can see where your message right here, where it is, would resonate with high school kids.
Yes.
Do you think that you can bring it down so that it is impactful to, say, middle school kids?
Oh, I think so.
6th, 7th, 8th grade.
I think so.
I think that's a critical age where your message would be very powerful.
I think so for sure. In fact, my nephews in 8th grade, they don't know, a lot of them don't even know if they want to go to high school. And now that they go through high school, they don't know if they want to go to college. And be that as it may, you may not be the academic path child.
That's okay.
You may be the trade child. You may be the whatever it is.
Military.
There's a
lot of ways to go.
And I think everyone should go to military school if they still have military school. 6 months to a year. That's it. So you can get up and every day make your bed, for God's sakes. But anyway, so I think that, I could tone it down. And really, 8th grade it is. I agree.
It's a pivotal age.
It's a very, very much so. That is where you need to adapt to who you start wanting to become. I do believe everyone should go through high school. I know on paper today, a lot of people, need that college degree, but a lot of millionaires don't even have that.
Listen, I think it gets back to how hard are you willing to work?
That's right.
Right. So you can succeed in this country today with a high school diploma.
Right.
If you're willing to work.
My father's 88. And he still can't read or write English, and he made it here his whole life. No welfare, no government assistance. And he worked in construction. Didn't become a millionaire, but he could have. There's some companies out there that the immigrants work. They just knew how to work. They had the work ethic. And that's what my dad taught me. And I guess that's in closing, that work ethic is there. You're not entitled to anything because you went to school. But we see the overnight sensations on YouTube, the gamers, the Zuckerbergs. You don't see behind the scenes of Zuckerberg or behind the scenes of Sidney Crosby or LeBron James. They're the ones spending 20 hours a day
perfecting their craft.
Perfecting their craft.
Practicing, perfecting their craft. Nobody gets better by practice.
That's right.
Everybody has, in my opinion, everybody has an innate talent that they can do as well or better than anybody else.
That's right.
Right? You can look at a LeBron James or somebody like that. Tom Brady. Okay? Now, without question, if you talk to anybody, maybe the greatest quarterback of all time.
My mother-in-law would beg to differ on that, but
here's the thing. Was an afterthought in the draft.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
He became Tom Brady, not because he was a gifted athlete, but because he worked his ass off to become that.
Story's amazing.
Right? A tremendous story.
Yep.
There have been a lot more gifted athletes that have played that position in professional football, but none has had the success that he's had. Right?
That's right.
So, you look at Ben Roethlisberger. And, I saw a comparison not too long ago. Ben Roethlisberger was a much, much better athlete and at a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
Really?
Right? But Ben didn't want to put in the work. And that's not my opinion. That was it was an article I read.
Those are the stats, right.
So, but when you look at it again, that work ethic separates. I don't want to say success from failure, because you can succeed in a lot of different ways, but you're going to get farther and you're going to succeed deeper if you're willing to work for it.
Well, that's why there's a handful of elite athletes on every team, right? Just a handful,
right? Right.
So that's why they put it in.
There are guys making millions of dollars in Major League Baseball that probably aren't as good as we are.
Right.
Just been lucky to be on a team.
That's right. That's
listen,
right.
I'm 63, got one eye. I can get a hit every once in a while.
Right.
I can probably hit 200. I hit my weight,
Really?
180 or something like that. But no, listen, this has been fantastic. And,
Thank you.
And listen, VinnieBorrelli.com is the website where you can find you. And
I'm on Facebook Live those Sunday nights, Significant Sunday, 7:00. Monday nights, Make It Happen Monday, 7:00. And then
Nice.
every other week I'm on Q92.9 with the Jagoff folks.
with the Jagoff folks.
Yeah.
You're with the Jagoffs. And
That's
I
right.
love those guys, and I want to thank them. Rachel and John, thank you for making this introduction.
That's right. Thank you.
We're going to do some really cool things and collaborate moving forward.
We are.
We'll get the executive producer involved. You don't have an executive producer. You need one. Everybody needs to have a Nick, somebody to,
Sure.
what they see. I wore a sweater today, not because I knew you were going to look good, because you're always signed up, but because it complains about my ensemble every show. He's like got something to say about it. He's even got his sister doing it.
Wow.
His sister called their mom on me and said, so it's like
Dress for success,
so
right?
I'm cleaning up. I'm cleaning up my act. I'm starting to
You look good.
Grown up clothes.
Right.
And,
Church clothes. Church clothes.
Yeah, church clothes. But brother, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
Jim, I appreciate it.
I
I'm
appreciate
honored.
it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
It's been great. And again, check Vinnie out, VinnieBorrelli.com, and on social media, Facebook,
Yes.
all the platforms.
You got it. Absolutely.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.